Okay, think I'm live, and I just left that in place, saying it's a very rushed live stream from last week because this is even more rushed today. I just woke up not that long ago. I had where my wife and son went on a trip this morning and already left, and so I actually brought the dogs inside because they were barking, and that made it quiet, and so I dropped off to sleep, even was dreaming. And just like last night, there was sirens going past the house, and that woke me up. But I felt that I wanted to get up and knew I had to do a live stream. I want to stick to the schedule, and I'm just going through and getting things turned off, the phones and things like that. I left out of here last night. I should have prepped the place a little bit better, because I knew I was coming back, and that was just right at 12 hours ago. So, and I passed the police and fire trucks coming up, and so I've got to figure out what all the stuff is going here locally. There was a police stop in front of our house last night too that I saw on security camera. But I'm going through and just getting in motion. If you're out there, say hi. Is my streaming software having trouble? But I still have the P75 out behind me, and I did even have some comments. Even Major Tom made a comment last night, and I'll have to see what that is. I can go through and I'm apparently I'm getting some issues with OBS here as well, so we'll kind of see. Maybe it's just a little bit of destiny that I have some recording issues this morning. Let's go through. I'm gonna put that away, and I don't have my little tweener system on the bench, anything like that. And so, and I've been packing my undocumented PC books back and forth. I know Chris Lenderman has the first edition, and what I mean to do, and there's the second edition. And this one is this one's even autographed, and I've even talked to Frank Van Gilui directly, and real nice guy. But I'm going through and I'm wanting to do some a layout of the extended CMOS registers, what all the data that's contained within that for a microchannel system. And there are some microchannel systems that don't have that, mainly the Model 50, the Model 50Z, and the Industrial 7552. That has an older form of microchannel, so it doesn't have the extended CMOS area to go through and hold the configuration for the system, and that microchannel configuration being a big part of it. And I want to do a layout of that. We've had that discussion come up before between me and Major Tom on exactly when we're going to get that in place and everything else. I thought I'd just go through and I'd get it bundled up and get it to him, and then he can work with that format. And of course, he has the information there too. I'm just looking to write it up as a way to maybe get it up a little bit quicker, and I'm doing that just to kind of further the use of that area. I know that there's been some questions relating to that, so I'm going to go through and that's one of the things I got to work on. The big news, of course, this week for me, and Chris is very aware of this, that he's got a PS2 8590 has gotten to his place for me to eventually pick up here. And that's notable because that machine is it's based on the 386DX 20 CPU, and that was it was just a low-cost Model 90 that really was was a special bid unit. There's a couple big companies, is the rumors, and those machines really didn't make it out to the retail markets. Otherwise, people didn't purchase them. Of course, there were higher level Model 90s and Model 95s that places bought, businesses bought, but those particular Model 90s are a little bit of a segment of their own, and really there hasn't been one. There's been work to go through and reassemble those from parts, and years ago I got what's called the Type 0 CPU complex for just investigation, just the complex itself, and now I'm going through and getting the whole system in, so I can see with that system in that state, and it's brand new condition, and I can see what I can do to go through and get that running for just that snapshot of how things were back then, or what that model had to it. And the really funny thing with the 8590, of course, is that there's connectors for two DBA ESDI drives, and that's kind of notable because that's the only instance out there where there were two connections on the single system for the DBA ESDI drives, and also that system for all the other submodels was not released with the DBA ESDI drives anyway. It was they stuck a SCSI controller in there, and typically a SPOC cache SCSI controller, and the memory riser even has a hollowed out place where you put in the big ferrite bead for the cable for the SCSI cable. Has a big ferrite bead on it, and that's where you put that to route the cable around. So it'll be interesting when I get that system finally over to me to go through and to check that out a little bit more and do some other information. There's been even some areas with the BIOS of that system that have been, or even the reference diskette rather, of what reference diskette runs with what particular model, and so that'll be something worth to check out. The main people that probably or people that are on the PS2 news group, even on the PS2 Model 25 and 30 group, have not seen a whole bunch of me this week, or the content that I've been kind of covering has actually been over in the IBM mainframe and mini computer group. And today I've actually got to go through, and I've got some things at my feet as well that I'm going to get started on for documenting the emulation boards further. And computer people, of course, have heard of AST Research doing a lot of even for the in the vintage computer side. I mean, they did their own systems and everything. They have, but they also did what was known as the six pack, or other boards of that name that had, they called it the six pack for all the included features of that board: the RAM, the real-time clock, the game port, the serial port, the parallel port, all the different features of those boards. There were 6. I'd have to go through and count exactly all what they were. But they were known for producing those boards. But they also did these, not to make sure I get these almost in the right, yeah, it looks like I have, well, get this one up first. But they had emulation boards for the mini computers. And so full-size adapters, and even it's funny for all these headers that are on these boards. And this is what they call the 5251/11 board. And I think the 11 is a notion of, I think it refers to some particular terminal type, or, but then I also have the 5251/11 enhanced, and again, all these strange headers up here, even 4 different headers. Like there was a daughter card that that went on these for making it more, maybe making it multi-session or something. But I got to go through and start taking pictures of these, figuring the boards out a little bit more. And I've got the software that I went through years ago, and it's even there. A lot of time the software came on. They came on both 5 1/4 and the in the 360 KB format and that 720 KB format as well. But I got to go through and image the diskettes. I went through and copied the diskette years ago, and so that's something that I'll have linked up on the IBM mainframe and mini computer group as well this week. And it is a little bit of kind of a crossover content to could be up on the vintage, could still be relatively on topic in the vintage group. But it's rather specific to the emulation of the of the computer. And emulation, of course, is going through and making your expensive computer at that time into a cheap terminal to connect on. I do have one other board with that set that's also boxed up. And this goes through, it's kind of the same sort of thing. This is a remote board. And I did the Idea Associates emulation about the last week. I think I've done that. And then this is a comparable board to that. 8-bit board that is a remote terminal, and that was an aspect to that emulation to the mini computers. The mini computers, what I'm referring to there is the System 34, System 36, and System 38. And then it went on to become the AS400 line. So those are the boards. And I've got manuals to scan too. And here's their binder that they went through, the user manual. And I think I even went through, see, AST Research. And they have this little banner that goes through and has things, all the stuff that they did. And AST Research had other products that they went through and had these in similar packaging, the binders and everything. Oh, there was the same way as their box here was, and they have AST Research and personal computer enhancement products. And as they show, they have the micro to mainframe as one of the text, data communication, workstation enhanced. They've got multifunction, looks like modems, graphics, all that on that box. And I've got the here I've got it looks like that these diskettes, I may have had to combine these onto a 720 KB disk at that time, because it looks like they came in the 5 1/4 format. And of course, being an 8-bit board, the 360 KB diskettes were a lot more common. They weren't, the 3.5-inch diskettes weren't very common at all. But there's the original diskette. And that one's even labeled as a /12 on the diskette. So, version 3.3, and diskette blank of blank. Doesn't mark how many, just one of one ultimately. Okay, important. Read before opening or using this product. This package contains software, the use which is licensed by AST Research for use only as set forth below. Opening this package indicates acceptance of these terms. Well, I don't know. That was people used to ponder that about whether the act of going through and opening a software package in the past was an agreement to licensing terms or not. But then this has two sections I have in the binder of the AST 5251/12 and all the operation of that. It has the picture of the board, And then it also I have also got that CC dash 432 being for that remote board. Paperclip still on things, addendums to the user manual. I don't even know if I've even looked at those pages with them being paperclipped together like that. And Iowa address map. But I'll go through, and I've got to scan these manuals in the upcoming week. That's something that's kind of off the typical PS2 related content, and so, and I'm not sure how long I'm going to do the stream today, or the point where I'll stop. Probably after an hour. I know I got the late start, and I'm trying to catch up a little bit in my morning here. And saying I'm live now, at least. Yeah, I wanted to read this. Major Tom went through and did a nice little write-up of the video last night. A comment on that video. And talking about that display board. And he's referring to that corrosion and the bad capacitors, and talking about the board he's working on is 40 of those little capacitors, I guess, is what he's saying in the comment. So, no, I don't want to run that. But, yeah, it's, he commented on the video. I want to see if I sent him an email, because I was trying to figure out, and one of the things I also did, and I have it tucked away now, but I did the silver cap, or the sugar cube, silver sugar cube RAM that I talked about in the group this week too, and I want to get to the point where I analyze those chips a little bit more, yeah, in my mail, I'm even getting a notification via LinkedIn that there's a job position that's still open that I already applied for, and that was a position that I went through, and it asked me my time that I've had on computers and electronics, and I listed truthfully 35 years, and I didn't get any answer to that job submission. Not even a phone call or anything else, and they're still, I've seen the position listed again or advertised again. I don't know if it's a hiring cycle or just something where someone didn't get a hold of me, and so I'll just have to see. And that's been weighing on my I also have another message from LinkedIn. Wow. Okay. So I have a I have a reply from Ernie Mendici, and this is the group. And so this is really big news. This is Chet Heath did in that episode of Computer Chronicles Bus Wars. He had a Model 60 there that had a board attached to it that had a 286 CPU and 287 math coprocessor. Additionally, on this board that was attached to the Model 60, and Chet Heath displayed the multi-processor functionality of the microchannel bus, and he credited Ernie Mendici with building that board. Major Tom, went through when he analyzed that, and he was looking at information for the Gearbox 7552. He that has Gearbox style connectors that are on that board, and so our speculation in the past has been where the Delmarva machine, that first machine with microchannel that Chet Heath used to develop microchannel, was something that looked like the Gearbox, or had a not necessarily rack mount and in the same form factor, but it had the same style boards that were popped in there, so it looked like almost like a development machine. And the 7552 is one of those systems that does microchannel in a entirely different way. It looks almost like an earlier version of the microchannel, and I don't know why IBM released that. I think that the IBM just really intended to release the Gearbox as an AT class machine, a 286 that was put up in an industrial setup, and I don't think that they plan for people to revert that back over to microchannel, or to try the microchannel aspect of that machine, because it works perfectly fine as an ISA bus system. And but I mean, we're looking at those aspects. But I sent a message to him via LinkedIn, and it said, and first he responds, "Hi IBM, thanks for reaching out. I'd like to learn more." And he did this last night. I should have checked my messaging a little bit more. And then it says, the second message, "David, I would like to help you since I consider it an honor and an obligation to document and preserve history. Regards, Ernie." As I say, this is huge news for me, because I'll reach out to him today very quickly, probably just right following this this live stream, to go through and to welcome his contact and to explain a little bit more. He talks about learning more, and at least on the second reply, he has my name a little bit more, and that's great for his insight of what that will be, for learning some of these angles of the Delmarva machine, learning about that processor board that was in the Model 60. So that is that's absolutely fabulous. And so I guess that's probably the big news of the day. I'll get through and I'll notify the group of that, the Facebook group as well, where I posted that information originally on for his contact, and going through and reaching out to him. So that is, yeah, that is great. Let's look over at the, oh, I'm getting at least, okay, and hi Ryan. It's funny that I always get offered friendship, Facebook connections, basically on accepting. Your profile is often featured as someone I could go through and friend on Facebook, and I always look at that PS2 in those requests and think, wow, that's you even have you put a PS2 right in your profile picture, and that's something that I haven't seen. I don't often see in others of them listing showing that connection to the PS2s. So hello to you as well. I know you in passing, I guess is the way to say that aspect. And then welcome to Hugh as well. And chip in on the chat and everything for this. And don't worry about the aspect of, I know Hugh always comments, so I'm late, I'm everything else. Well, this morning I was significantly late myself. I went through, and actually as it was, I just woke up an hour ago with the sudden realization, look at the clock to say, well, gosh, I've probably got a place to go, places to be. But if my main system at home had been set up a little bit better, I do have OBS on it, and I can probably get the stream key set up on that, because there could be a point where I could stream from that location. I will, if I could have done that at a moment's notice and been a little bit more prepared. I did have the books down there. I didn't have any of the other content that's up here in the studio, but I could have started up that machine and got on the live stream a little bit quicker. And I'll just have to get that prepared for that eventuality of doing that. And so yeah, don't worry about being late. Don't worry about just enjoy the content. And of course, it's always there in playback form for people to go through and review later on. I just want to see. Yeah, that looks pretty good. It's actually, when in the YouTube side, it the way it okay, so there, I guess I was just scrolled a little bit to see how I'm being presented on screen. And as always, I'll need to get Facebook started up here as well to get seen what happened there. I know that there's been some chatter from the Vintage Computer admin group that goes through and are dealing with these fake accounts trying to join the groups. And yeah, see all my Facebook memories and everything else. So as I said, I got an address. It looks like I'll be sending out a diskette drive. I'm trying to get where someone has a Model 30 that their drive is not, their diskette drive is not working, and get a drive out to them to get to where they can get that system back being functional. Love those little Model 30s for all that. And I'm going to go through, I'll capture that. address, and I'll start looking through the topics that came up. But so as I say, it's there's some big news going on there. I'll get to the point of, and it clearly won't be this P75 that I have behind me. That's the system, of course, that was disassembled a little bit. And I even have a little bit of questions on the riser board. It has a it has this connector to the main board. I think they did power over this or something else, or some other signals. But the planer itself has one of those connections as well. So I have the 3 P75 units. So I'm wondering if there's any if I got some of these parts separate or something else, and of why I have a duplicate connector there. But there's the for all the dirt. I'll have to brush that out. There's the 32-bit side of the microchannel bus. Even looks like crud in the bus connector itself. So that's something I'll have to clean out with there. And then there's the 2 16-bit slots. And effectively the P75 goes through and doubles the amount of microchannel connections for the increased width, and going up to the 46 CPU, and having SCSI built into the system, having, of course, more ability for memory, being a more powerful system, yet still having that same orange plasma display, and the same appearance on the front. Now the display board is XGA. And so it has very good graphical capabilities. And so I'll get a different P75 that looks a little bit better. I'll go through and look it over first, but I'll get one of those operating in the upcoming week. I do have a, for the side of the, separate from the channel, I've got a package in. I know what this is. This is actually for, plug ears. This is for an HP system that I've been working on. And these are the restore, the CD disk for restoring the system to Windows 7. Has all the drivers and everything else, as I'm going to go through and work with that system. And so that's kind of separate from the channel. And I need to go through, I did say I had the AST boards up before. I talked about on the mainframe group. I went through and covered the Idea Associates boards. And I have some of the ones that are smaller in microchannel. I was really interested in one 8-bit board that looked very similar to the microchannel boards that did the 5251 emulation. And so I may get one of those to kind of document a little bit. There's some very good pictures anyway, and I don't want to get a whole bunch of adapters. And so there's the There's a note from Computer Trade Exchange. Hi, David. Thank you for your order. Please reach out to me if you need anything. And I always appreciate those sorts of contacts. And he's on the PS2 group on Facebook too. And he went through. I've got a board that he sent. I still have in shrink wrap, and that is very similar to one of the 8-bit boards, and in its layout. And this being the 8-bit board and anti-static wrap. And the Microchannel board is very similar to that. But I'll go through, and I'm trying to figure out a video of how I'm going to work that in. And for the emulation boards, I say in a way, the true test is to have a host for them to connect to, and that would be that's going to be I think a challenge for me to go through and to to get running to be an ultimate test of those boards as I go through and document them. And I know Chris Singleton was here last week for the live stream. I know he's going through and he's working on getting a lot of setups for his. He's got some mini computers, IBM mini computers. That he's trying to get set up. He received some printers, even some Twin-X printers. This last week too. So I know that he'll probably even have a running mini computer system set up before I do. So there might be some interaction there that we can do. Well, you know, I've got some ThinkPads around as well, Hugh, and even the one I've got that a later one of a T42, and that was a real nice ThinkPad system of the time. And this is running it's running Windows XP. I need to pull that out and actually load a little bit more software on it because it's a nice tweener system too. I've got the I got the dock for that, or the port replicator as they call them. There's a lot of debate, you know, what's a port replicator and what's a dock. Docks used to start back in the day as a notion of a bigger assembly that you put your laptop on, and then it's now changed over to port replicators and even some pretty small assemblies that are connected to the more modern laptops to give them the connections, and so it's not really a true dock. But I've got that, and it has external diskette drive as well that plugs in, and it's ultimately just a USB diskette drive, but the ability to make those 3.5-inch diskettes. So, you know, there's no. I've got a whole bunch of those ThinkPads that in due time I need to go through and get those out as well. Kind of feature them in videos and cover them as well, because they are nice IBM machines that I'd like to cover and show. And I ran a ThinkPad 755, and I think it was the CD version, because it had the and that being the model number 755 CD, and it did have the CD drive and all the stuff below the lift keyboard where you went through and changed the drives And I ran that for quite a long period of time as well. And upgrading the RAM and those little modules. I'm trying to think what they call those little credit card sized memory modules. It was different from PCMCIA, and even a different. I think the connectors were angled, so you couldn't get the same thing, same size, so you couldn't get it in the PCMCIA slot by mistake. But I'll need to go through and pull those out and get them on the coverage for those. I haven't seen what Major Tom has up for the ThinkPads. I know he's got some links up there and probably covers particular models very well, but that's a very since that series has run for so long. Of course, there's a wide variety of ThinkPads as well, but no doubt covering the historical ones, or the kind of the threshold machines of the time of those ThinkPads. And well, and everything, happens for a reason, I guess. I wish I had more storage, and I wish I had gone through and stored things better, and also went through and been a little bit more of a hoarder than I was, because there was opportunities I could have got to collect machines at the time, but then I would have been a lot more poor than I am today, and I wouldn't have had some other things in my life. So that's probably fine too. I didn't have the storage even for what I had a lot of the time, and to be able to squirrel all that stuff away for a later point and anticipate that my angle of going through and trying to document those machines now. The as I say, normally I see on the vintage computer side, a lot of time the people that are involved in that, they want the machine of their teenage years. They want to go through and restore a computer that they had at home growing up, and so a lot of the time that is a PS2, even if it was an IBM. Maybe a PC Junior, or some of the other Aptiva line, or a PS1, but typically it wasn't a PS2 that teenagers had growing up for that time frame, and so that's what they focus on. Those individuals that are in the hobby, in the restoring, they often at times like to restore the systems that they grew up with and put them back in the same condition that they had them, and as a teen. So, and even sometimes going through and retrofitting those to where they have better capabilities. They have the ability to add on more RAM or get a faster CPU, that they didn't have the ability to do that in their childhood. But I think I'm going to go through. It's been, even though I did get the late start, and it probably started going just right at like 10:15 or something like that. It's marking me as I've had the stream going for just right at 50 minutes now. So we can probably do another 10 minutes. And then I'll go through to, I've got some of those angles I have to address of answering Ernie Mendici on messaging, and going through and just find out what he's willing to do for us, for the community, of going through and talking about some of the things that he did at IBM back in the time, and I'm interested in hearing what some of the boards. If he did that CPU board, that processor board that was attached to the MUL 60, I'm interested in what else he did. I'm interested in what knowledge he has of the Delmarva machine and going through to that history that is that he is aware of. And as I've said in the past, I've tried to reach out to Chet Heath on Facebook, and I understand that that's not a really good venue, that that he may not necessarily be active on, but just trying to go through and establish some contact. And of course, I'm not trying to come off something, that a message he can see and recognize that I'm just looking for a little bit of details on what he knows of this stuff, and to give a little bit of insight to the community. But he hasn't answered me. Hopefully, Ernie Mendici has some of the contacts that he used to work with as well, and maybe even there's some other people that can get involved to show that their little their view of how IBM was doing design at that time, and the things that they had that crossed their desk or their bench for them to work on and design and get running for the masses, and developed into the PS2 models later on. So, but I hope everybody has enjoyed this hasty live stream that I set up, that I had to run to and was behind in. I even when I got up here, I realized I didn't even bring anything to drink for the to sit here where I'd be talking an hour and need to go through and refresh myself. I still had Cheeto dust on my fingers that I went through, and I'm doing the hand sanitizer, trying to get the orange stain off my fingers from eating Cheetos. But yeah, very hasty and live stream that I did today. But I'd like to stick to this schedule and have to where I'd be a little bit more on time at what is 10 a.m. my time, Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. for Central Standard Time, and noon for the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. for California Standard Time, to go through and do these the live streams. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the and the next live stream will be in October, if I'm counting right. Should be October the 2nd, and I haven't decided. I think the first week of every month, the first weekend, that first Saturday, I may do. That's when I may do the Facebook live stream, and so maybe next week I can go back to that Facebook format again for the single session a month of going through and doing it from Facebook. For the other 3 or 4 live streams of the month, to go through and to do them on the YouTube format. And I do apologize. I'm getting to the point where I've been busy, so I'm only doing the videos on the Friday night, like I did last night, and I need to get to doing more videos during the week because there's a whole bunch of content. It's been a little bit harder for me to sit down in the evenings. It's going through. It is cooling down finally again. We're seeing here in New Mexico, we're seeing the rains drop off, so things are they're a nice color green. They're going through and drying out a little bit now, turning yellow. And there's a little bit more bad news on the horizon. They're expecting there's a high probability that the La Nina will go through and to dry things out, increase the drought conditions in the West, maybe in the upcoming year or two as well. We had some nice rains that alleviated some of that drought conditions this last season, but it's not going to last us, I don't think. It's going to go back to the point where we're going to be it's going to be very hot and dry in the Southwest, and a lot of the in the weeks before this, a lot of it's been where I've had to cool down the studio. We're in the swamp cooler, and that adds moisture to the air that's not really good for the systems I have around to go through and get things cooled off. But hopefully with it cooled down a little bit more, and I can make the time to still do a lot of video content. I don't know if it'll come to the point of me doing a daily video again. I'm able to go through and do that for sometimes. Hi Jesse, how are you? It's good to see you on the chat. Just right at the point, I'm going to go about another. This is going to be the 2-minute warning to go in right at an hour of live stream, and I think I did have some pretty good viewership. I have a lot of people in the comments that I really enjoy going through, and not so many necessarily questions necessarily, but going through and just popping on and saying hi. And I do like my viewers to do that. I understand some people don't want to get out there and they just want to lurk and kind of listen, and that's fine. But I like going through and sometimes where you go through and could identify yourself, just to pop on and say hi. I'm not going to go through and draw you out anything more and act like you need to introduce yourself or anything like that. But I just like hearing from people that are watching and try and figure out what brings them on to go through and watch me on a live stream like this, or what they like to my videos, so I can go through and adjust that a little bit more. And as Chris Lenderman knows, I mean, go through and play the YouTube game a little bit more, to that chasing that mysterious algorithm to try and have our channels go through and get more subscribers, get more views, get our videos out there in the world. I did see Ron he's doing a giveaway. He's really he's approaching 1,000 subscribers himself. That's what I try and set my sights on, is getting 1,000 subscribers. So just right as we go through, we're coming up on an hour of the live stream. I'm going to go through and I'm going to close down the live stream, and but I really appreciate everyone showing up and tuning in to see these live streams. I know I had to get in motion and had to do this today. It was a drive for me to get up here and do it, even though I was a little bit late. So that's all I have for now. This is IBM Museum. Thank you. I even have to find out where my mouse is here. Oh, okay, there we go.